I am Vipin Bhardwaj. I am the founder and CEO of NuAIG. It's an incredible honor to work on this documentary and bring out the stories of residents at Forum at Rancho, San Antonio in Cupertino, California. Not just the residents of a senior living community, these are pioneers, they are trailblazers, and they have done wonderful cutting edge work and worked on technology which we worked on today. NuAIG is AI solutions provider for healthcare and senior services. Our work would not have been possible without leveraging the work of these residents, and we are very grateful to Tailgate for giving us an opportunity to bring these stories out to the forefront.
The Forum is really an astonishing social and intellectual environment. Of course, it's an older population, but it's a very active, a very engaged, and a very accomplished population.
This surprised me when I came in here. This is a place that we own, we care about it, and we constantly reinvent it.
So one of the unique things about us being here in Silicon Valley is we have such a rich history of our residents and all their contributions in the valley. And kind of that inspiration, kind of that entrepreneurial spirit has really just infused itself here in the Forum, and we just want to embrace all that history and legacy and just bring it forward into our community.
People occasionally ask me to look back and what about my career? And I don't think about it much. When I do, I think I can take a quiet sort of pride. People occasionally tell me I'm an AI pioneer. I suppose that's true. And life goes on. So I really look forward and not backward. My interest in what became technology really was there at the very beginning. When I was a very little kid, I was always taking things apart to see how they worked. When you grow up and go to school and become a researcher, a technical person, or an engineer, it's kind of just a grown-up version of the same impulses of that little kid. So I specialized within electrical engineering in what was called the systems side, which was very mathematical, statistical. And I became interested in how you classify patterns, and that led me very quickly into the first days of artificial intelligence at the very beginning of the field. But when I started working in AI in the mid-1960s, the field was absolutely brand new. It was just getting started. Nobody had ever heard of the term AI. There were just a handful of places worldwide that were doing research in AI. We all knew each other. We got together from time to time. Everything was possible, and it was just great. Nothing could have been more fun if you were an eager young researcher.
I get lost in here too. Yeah, well, over the years they've redone it. It hasn't always been quite the same. Well, we
got to go this way?
Oh, we don't have to. Yeah, I think we got to go down somewhere, I think.
Yeah. Well, the research environment in the early days of AI was really pretty interesting. It was absolutely basic research or fundamental research. We used to occasionally joke that what we were doing was provably worthless or provably useless. As it turned out, we could not have been more wrong. Somebody rather once said, just because the vision is clear, it doesn't mean the distance is short. The vision for AI then was really not very different from what it is today. We were all in on the vision that we wanted to make a computer system that would exhibit behavior which, if exhibited by a human, would be considered intelligent. The first thing I did when I joined the SRI Artificial Intelligence Center was I co-developed the world's first face recognition system. And so that was pretty cool, although not highly practical. Concurrently with that, we had just started a project to create the world's first robot with artificial intelligence, which we named Shaky. Shaky was really important because before Shaky, robots existed only in science fiction. Robots were literally fantasies. Shaky proved that you could actually make one, and so the fantasy could become a reality. And that did kick off the entire field of robotics, and over time led to things like robot vacuum cleaners and eventually self-driving cars. So I led that project in the early 70s, and that's why Shaky is now in the Computer History Museum just down the road from the forum.
In that time, in order to become a computer programmer, you basically found your information and your education where you could find it. But in essence, at that time, because most of the computers, there were no desktops to speak of, that came a few years later. We all worked on mainframes, you know. Most of them you programmed in a special language that was written for that particular mainframe.
I went to college, went through college, and then I worked for HP for 20 years, of course, and then later on, when the internet, 2000, I left HP, and I was selling GPS modules for a Swiss company. And that's how I learned GPS. And from there, I ran a navigation map company, generating it, making it from scratch.
When we were working on Shaky, we knew we were doing something new. The concept was to create an experimental test bed that would include in a single integrated system all of the subparts of artificial intelligence as they were then understood. So for openers, Shaky could visually perceive its surroundings and map its immediate environment. A second thing Shaky could do was navigate autonomously from place to place. It could compute the shortest route to get it from A to B. And the algorithm that we invented to do that I named the A-star algorithm, or A** algorithm, was later used to compute all of our driving directions so we could get from our A to B. Another thing Shaky could do was construct an action plan consisting of a sequence of steps that let it achieve goals that lay beyond the scope of any of the individual pre-programmed actions that we provided for Shaky. Once Shaky began executing a plan, it constantly monitored to see if things were going according to plan, because of course sometimes they don't. And if that happened, Shaky could detect that and on the fly could update its plan to take the current situation into account. Another thing I did for Shaky's computer vision system was to figure out how to efficiently find straight lines in images, particularly if they're broken lines. And that particular algorithm is used in automobiles nowadays to detect lane markings on pavements. So those are examples of some other specific research topics I've worked on in my career. This plaque here recognizes Shaky, which is the world's first robot with artificial intelligence. And Shaky was the first project in either artificial intelligence or robotics to be recognized as an IEEE milestone. And I'll add that milestones go to projects and not people. And why did we name it Shaky? Well, the electric motors that powered Shaky were a special kind of motor called a stepping motor. And the advantage of a stepping motor is that it keeps track of its own rotations, and that allowed Shaky to track its position at least approximately. There was a downside, and the downside is that stepping motors do not operate very smoothly. So when Shaky rolled, it really did shake back and forth. And one time we had a project meeting, what should we call this? And nobody could agree, and finally somebody yelled out, "It shakes like hell when it moves, let's call it Shaky." And the name stuck. At the bottom of Shaky, there are these wires sticking out that we thought of as cat whiskers, and they're bump detectors.
Right.
So if Shaky bumped into something, it can notice it. And then as it comes around, you'll see this little push bar in the front, and that allowed Shaky to push around these big boxes, which you can get a little bit of a sense of in the photo back there. The Shaky project began in 1966 and ended in 1972.
Okay.
So I worked on it from the day it started to the day it ended. And I worked on the route finding stuff, on the computer vision stuff, on the automatic plan construction, problem solving, and then as I said, I was a project leader. So 6 years was what it took to do this. For extra credit, can you find me in that photo? It was about 60 years ago.
Yeah, this is the Apple I, a real one. I'd done a lot of work in semiconductor memory circuits. I had a bunch of teenage boys at home, so I was writing games, and I wrote a Star Trek type of game that Steve Jobs learned about. At the time of this, there were just the two Steves as there were Apple. I mean, that's what it was. If you call the phone number on the instruction manual, you got Steve Jobs. That's what you got. And he learned I had a game program, so he asked me to demonstrate it. So I took it over to his house and demonstrated the game, and he was impressed and wanted me to port. They were starting to do the Apple II, and he wanted me to port it to the Apple II, which I did in Apple II's very early days of being a corporation. And that was my introduction. I decided that looked like an interesting place to work, so I told him I was interested in the job and got a job there. And that's how I got into Apple Computer.
Well, AI over the past 2 or 3 years has taken an astonishing turn that took everybody by surprise, including the main movers. And of course, I'm speaking of deep learning, large language models, chatbots, and that sort of thing. It took everybody by surprise, certainly including me. Driving in a city street is so much more demanding, and navigating through intersections and worrying about what software engineers call edge cases, which are the 1 in a million things that you haven't planned for, but then it comes up and now what? So, so as I said, I'm excited. I'm waiting to see how this turns out. Will people be driving 50 years from now? Well, you know, I haven't thought about that, but maybe not. It might become a lost skill. Well, I'm impressed with all these sensors. There's some scanning stuff over here. Apparently, this is a small Jaguar. All right, can we get in over here?
Yep. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, unlock.
This is super. I do want to point out there is nobody in the driver's seat. When I was working on Shaky the robot over 50 years ago, I never imagined that something like this would one day be possible. If I were in a time warp, I sort of wonder what I would have thought back then. This really is cool. We're in pretty good traffic right now. I cannot resist taking a video myself of this thing.
Well, what's really interesting is that we've got these folks with such history. They are so willing to help and support and guide us into just adopting technology into the forum. So we have various tech committees and tech task force where the folks are working hand in hand with other residents and staff members to just look at different technologies, explore different ways of bringing technology into the community.
What I'm interested in seeing happening is the application of robotics to supporting independent living among seniors. And the forum is such a socially warm and welcoming environment. You're just enveloped by it from the day you move in. And maybe partly because we're owned by the residents, we have so many ways to participate in the governance and the life of the forum. From, in my case, I'm on a technology committee that I chair. We have a big wood shop where I'm active because I'm a lifelong furniture designer and furniture maker. So it's really hard to imagine a better place to be physically active, mentally active, and socially active. And so every dinner conversation, every casual walk in Rancho San Antonio is interesting. And I think it keeps you young.
The wood shop here in the Forum started out as a closet. Somebody said, we need a wood shop here, and there was a tremendous need for it.
Oh, I've worked for several companies, National Semiconductor, Computer Sciences Corporation, Logisticon, I mean, you name it. We didn't stick with, 2.5 years was about the time that you stayed, because every time, in order to become more valuable, you had to obtain more knowledge, and you obtained that in different places, working with different computers. I liked all my jobs because it was always something very different. I was working on a system that now is very common, which is the supermarket scanning thing, with barcodes.
My role was, I was a fresh engineer, so I did the failure mode analysis and find out if this failed, what do you do to save it? And I learned to make the best product without failing. And Voyager 1 and 2 still going through space today after 200 million miles or something like that.
I've been working on the design of an amateur radio antenna. A couple of years ago, when I was about 88, some people at the Forum here asked me to get an amateur radio license because I could then work with them with the amateur radio emergency services here in Cupertino. This is the radio that drives that thing, and this is all intended to be portable. I have a suitcase out there that all this will fit in.
I think what's unique about the Forum is that our equity ownership model, which makes it very unique. There's only, I think, 7 of us in the nation that is resident owned. So they're actually, they have a say in everything we do in this community, including the hiring of the management company, which is Life Care Services. So really, resident has a voice. They're empowered to make decisions. So we have 4 dining experiences. This is our bistro at one of our newest venues. We have an outdoor terrace that's for outdoor seasonal dining. We have a bar and lounge that has a full bar plus lounge, bar menu. And then we have the Ridge, which is our 5-star restaurant. So there's quite a few options that residents have. And this was one of the ideas that we have, one of the vision that we have. We used to have just 1 dining room, and we made it into 4 dining venues to give people different experiences. This is our new rehab center, and this is where technology actually comes from a different angle into the equipment that we're going to be utilizing to help people rehab back home. So you'll see equipment for post-acute stroke. You'll have both indoor and outdoor space, but this is really where I see healthcare going, being able to get rehab, utilize all different kind of resources in there and be able to get back home. I think most people want to go home, and using technology equipment or technology robotics that will help with gaining strength back will help get them back home a lot sooner. When I talk to residents in sales and marketing, when we're giving a marketing tour, what they talk about is the equity ownership piece as a #1 reason for purchasing, but the second is that peace of mind for healthcare. And I think having just technology involved in higher quality of care, or even having higher level of staffing ratio, I think really make a significant difference in how we provide care at the Forum.
The first thing I realized when I moved in here is this is not adjacent to a natural area, an open space, a native wildlife habitat. We are that habitat.
This is memory care, so Daffodil Ridge, we'll go on in. I'll show you some of the great things that we built into this building, so which includes circadian lighting. We have AI for fall detection. We also have Ava, which is a voice assistant to help residents and staff. A lot of communities just have a memory box, so family member could bring information in from their past, so they can, remember this might be a trigger point or a cue that this is their room. But we took it one extra step by using technology, by using the digital board. So family member actually could upload any picture and share it any time. And so I think that's a great way of, keeping things active and live for the resident. And then if we look up there, that's VST Alert. So that's AI, using AI technology to help with fall prevention. Ava's voice assistant program, technology for a resident with memory care, is used for both the staff members and the resident. Our lighting is our circadian lighting, so when we were building this building, it was important for us to use that technology to see if it would make a difference. So what we've noticed is that we have probably the least number of people sound downing because of these lightings. So we also use digital display throughout our memory care, so a family member can see the activities that's been happening in the community. So it's just really nice to see. And the activity staff does an excellent job. They update this weekly.
All the advice on aging well seems to come down to three things: stay physically active, mentally active, and socially active. And the forum is just a wonderful environment for doing that. And people are engaged. They're out there, they're paying attention, they have thoughts, they stay current.
We create new programs, we create new ideas, new projects. It's amazing. There's nothing old and decrepit about this place. It is because the people here keep making it their home, but the home that they want it to be. And these are active people. It's a wonder. When they say this could be our best years of our life, I think it's true.